really quickly.
Okay.
Like now.
Excellent.
Hi, everyone. Really happy to introduce Jeanette Hewitt, who writes as J M Hewitt. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and your books, especially the one we're talking about today?
Yes, certainly. I write psychological crime fiction. My 10th book has just been published, The Perfect Village, and there's the other ones there as well, if you can see those. And The Perfect Village is actually the first one to feature quite locally to me here in Suffolk.
Is it so? I'm not like the world's expert on Suffolk. I only really know like the areas around Ipswich.
Yeah.
Because that's where my mum's from.
Oh yes, I remember that from last time we chatted.
Like, is it based on a real place, or is it like?
It is actually, yeah. So we've got a local legend here in Suffolk, which is the legend of the Green Children, which in the 12th century, two green children turned up in a village called Woolpit, which is a real place. Back in the 12th century, it was actually called Wolf's Pit. It was just basically a town used to trap wolves. And the legend has it that these children turned up. They didn't speak any English. No one knew where they had come from. They had green skin. And yeah, as I say, it's a bit of a local legend. So I decided to just take that legend and create a psychological thriller around it.
Yeah, and it's got really cool premise, hasn't it? Because you've got a modern day woman finding these two lost children with no parents. Have they got the green skin in the book, or are they just?
They do, yes. I thought, and I really do want to stay true to this piece of folklore, but still make it believable. So it took quite a lot of research into why someone's skin would be green. I came up with something.
What's the answer? Oh no! Don't give away the spoilers.
Yeah, no spoilers. You'll have to read it.
I know that if you drink silver, you can turn your skin blue.
There's a surprising, once you start researching it, there's a surprising amount of things that can happen that might seem really bizarre, but can actually happen.
Yeah, it's wild, isn't it? Like the things you can do to make yourself. But I'm presuming we're not imagining a Shrek color of green.
No, I don't think it's that vivid. I mean, as you say, that it does happen. I think there's a family somewhere in America, and they're known, or they were known, as the blue people. Their skin was blue, and forgive me if I'm wrong, I think that was as a result of inbreeding, which isn't what happened in my book.
Fair enough. Are you tempted to sort of use any other local legends in books?
Not local, actually. There's in The Night Caller, which was a few books ago, that was actually based on the Manchester Canal pusher, which is a legend because it's never actually been proven that there was somebody pushing people or committing murder by pushing people into the canal. That's the thing I really enjoy about writing fiction, is you can take a piece of history or a legend and create a story around it.
Well, they go back to your very first book was set in Pripyat, wasn't it, or around there?
Yeah, that was Exclusion Zone.
Interested in kind of interesting stories. And
yeah, I mean I wrote Exclusion Zone because when I was a child, that's the first major piece of world news that I remember everybody talking about. And that stayed with me through to adulthood, really. And I wrote Exclusion Zone, and it coincided with the 30th anniversary of the Chernobyl disaster. And I really enjoyed, again, it had the then story, back when it happened, and a current day timeline of people returning there.
Did you go and visit?
No, and I kick myself because I found some very helpful people who run the tours, because you could go there for a weekend and do a tour, and they invited me, and I left it too long. I always thought, oh, I will do that. I'll take them up on their invitation. And then, of course, everything that's happened now, I could kick myself for not going earlier.
It's such a fascinating story, that, isn't it? It's like,
It
I was reading a history of it recently, and it's like,
Yeah, endlessly fascinating that, the way that the wildlife just rejuvenated itself afterwards, and the people who stayed there also, the older women. It really is fascinating.
so going back to the perfect village, do you think people are drawn to? I'm sort of thinking about, but like, like old movies and things where you had these kind of weird, creepy children coming back.
Yes, they're the best sort of movies.
Like, I think people are drawn to those kind of stories, aren't they? There's like
Yeah,
something, kind of surreal about like a
yeah,
child
yeah.
being
Yeah,
potentially.
absolutely. There's nothing better than a creepy child in a movie or a book. And I don't know why that is. Maybe, because you don't really know what goes on in the heads of young children. But yeah, I think there's nothing better than a creepy little boy or girl, or both in the case of the perfect village.
I think I find those ideas horrifying, but it's probably because I'm a teacher in like real life.
Oh, wow, really? No.
Like, I don't wanna no.
Oh, what sort of age then?
Older, like secondary kids.
Oh, right, okay, yeah. That can be just as creepy. Just as scary.
I'm not cut out for little kids. They're too gross, Like, I'm like, "No."
I'm with you there.
I want them to be able to answer back and, like,
Yeah.
look after themselves a bit.
Yes, yeah, totally.
No, that's not a sensible reason to choose to teach them, you know?
But it makes sense, it really does.
You got some lovely quotes, like, sporting it from some fellow Canelo authors, like
Oh, yes.
Sheila and Marion.
Yes, yeah, bless them. They really enjoyed it, and we're very lucky in our little group that we get to read early copies of each other's work. And they're such good authors. It's really flattering to have their quotes come to my work.
I'm just sorry, I'm looking at the things. So, we've got hellos from Sam, Karen. Karen said children terrify her, or the creepy children. Uh, Donna says hello. Sam says she knows you were a huge library user as a child. Is that why you first decided to write?
Yes, yeah, that's a well remembered. Um, oh, I loved the library, and I still love the library. I mean, now today there's so many more resources offered. When I go on the library website, you can use it as a safe space. A heated space for older people who might not be able to afford to put their heating on, and then as well as the books, the library is a great resource. And I when I was really into reading as a youngster, we didn't really have the young adult category like we do now. And so I sort of went from the childhood books, the Enid Blyton. There were a few Judy Blume, but then I went straight into Stephen King and Jackie Collins. So I'd have loved to have a young adult genre when I was young.
But I'm going to presume that when we were both young, because I'm feeling like we're a similar age from like the comments you were saying,
Yeah.
there was an amazing bookstore in Ipswich in the old ancient house. Do you remember that? There was like a bookstore there.
Yes. because the ancient house is nothing like what it was. I do remember that. And I think it then got turned into a lakeland, you know, kitchen and homewares. And now it's nothing at all, which is quite sad, because I think a lot of the bookstores, when they're in a building or architecture such as that, they were amazing. And I don't think we had a Waterstones, because I remember having to go to W.H. Smith to buy books.
Wow.
I know. And the library, of course. No Amazon in those days.
My mum was complaining the other day about, like, the fact it was hard to get me past a bookstore when I was a child.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I can totally identify with that. I always used to ask for book tokens for my birthdays and Christmas.
Yeah. Karen says, I think the Karen's saying that she jumped to Virginia Andrews.
Oh, yes. Do you know, I reread all of the Flowers in the Attic very recently. They were all on the Kindle for 99p. Oh, and that's, again, kind of a gothic, chilling story with those children who were locked in the attic.
Do you think that kind of love of gothic sort of fiction, if you went to sort of Stephen King and people like that, is what's drawing you into, like, psychological thrillers now?
I think so, because I did do a couple of police procedurals, but I found after I'd done those, I found that I do prefer where the villains or the characters are, you know, there's no police keeping control of everything. If people are let alone, then the results can be much more sinister. And I did want exactly. Without police interference, things can get a lot more interesting.
So, introduces, apart from the green children, who are obviously crucially important to the novel, introduce us to the main character of the story.
Well, we've got Vivacia. Her husband left her 1 year prior to where the book is set now, and she's kind of struggling in an in-between world, because she's always been brought up in the village of Woolpit with her mum, with her grandmother, and they had their gardens was basically the countryside. Then the land got sold off, and wealthy people moved into all of these new builds. So Vivacia's kind of struggling a little bit in between the old and the new. All she's ever wanted is to have children of her own, and she thinks that time has now passed her by. And then she finds these two young green children who seem to have no parents, doesn't know where they come from, and she wonders if she can claim them as her own.
And obviously, if you found two random green children, your first thought would be, could I claim them as my own?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's Vivacia is just, she just is struggling with everything. She knows she should do the right thing and report these children. But on the other side of the coin, she also knows how much she wants to have children. So there's a little bit of a dilemma going on there.
There's an interesting dilemma to bring into it as well. Like, 'cause that'll draw people in. You know, you're building kind of the suspense already just with, like, her emotions and sort of dilemmas.
Yeah. She was really fun to write, because she's nothing like me, but I found her incredibly easy to write. I really enjoyed it. Possibly one of my most favorite characters that I've written.
What would be, sorry, I'm just interested now because she said that. Have you got a character that was, like, the hardest character to write?
Oh,
Doesn't have to be in this book.
Yeah, that's a really good question. There's a gentleman in this book who's quite coercive. I found him easy to write. All of these characters just poured out of me. It was a wonderful book to write, and I hope future books are not going to be a struggle, because I've never had something flow so well. The book that I then wrote, which is coming out in the winter of this year, it's about two females who are very different but have some similarities. And I think I found that quite difficult, because I had to separate them but still kind of keep them going along the same track. So that was a bit more hard than poor old Vivacia. She was so easy.
Do you think this one was easier to write because it's sort of grounded in things that you've known since you were young?
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head. It was just following that legend, and that was so easy because I knew it all, and everything else just fell into place appropriately, I think is the right word. It just worked.
Must reduce the research a little bit as well.
Sorry?
Does it reduce the amount of research you have to do a little bit as well when it's already something you're familiar with?
Yes, and I mean, because it's so far in the past, centuries ago, as long as I got the main facts right, which are, very clear, and there are only a few, I couldn't really get pulled up on anything, basically. So yeah, it was a lovely, joyful book to write. I really enjoyed it.
Have you had a local book launch?
No, I haven't. I was just trying to think what I did. It was only a couple of weeks ago. I did go to Ipswich and celebrate it with some friends, which was really nice. And other than that, I've just been going around all of the local bookstores through Suffolk and Essex as well, touting my wares. And I've had a really nice response from them, possibly because it is based, so locally. There's a bit of there was quite a fair bit of interest, which was really nice.
I think people love stuff like that. When it's that kind of even if it's not somewhere that
Yeah.
you still love to learn about people's local
Yes.
legends and things. Would you write any more based
I'd love
in
to.
your particular region? Rather than, I know you've drawn on other legends and stuff before, but would you be tempted to make this into a bit of a series?
I'd really love to use another legend. I have got a file somewhere, but I haven't found any that would work so well. And I think it is a popular read. I mean, I've enjoyed Sue Bristow's Sealskin about the Selkies, and I never knew anything about these mythical creatures, and it was so interesting. But I think Ellie Griffiths has done some, again, quite local in Norfolk. I think the Black Dog or the Black Mythical Cat or something. Someone will correct me.
Yeah, Black
But yeah, I mean, if you can get a hold of a piece of folklore like that, it can be great fun, and I think great, an enjoyable read as well.
I may be showing my ignorance here, but I don't think there are many is there many crime authors cornering Suffolk? So you could nail that kind of
Yeah. I need to put a copyright on it. Leave the legends to be.
map for yourself, be like it's mine.
Yeah, I think I shouldn't I? I need to get in there quick.
I'm trying.
I know Ruth Dugdale, who is also from Felixstowe, which is where I live. She wrote about the Red Barn murder, which isn't a legend; it's a factual piece of history. But it was, I really enjoyed reading that. It's possibly what sparked my, moving into or looking into legends.
Wasn't that one of the first one of the few first kind of publicly reported on crimes? I'm sure I read a history of true crime, and it was
Yeah, I think you're right. It was Maria and the Red Barn. I'm just looking at my bookcases because I've got it here somewhere. And I thought, oh, that was just a really good way of creating not even a fictional account, but a story around something that actually happened.
Because I'm genuinely not being no shade to Ipswich, but some of the places that genuinely terrified me when I was little were around there. Like the places that scared me the most.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's strange. I mean, it's not a claim to fame at all. We had the spate of prostitute murders. What was that? About 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah,
I mean,
not long ago. Yeah, I remember those happening.
that was just crazy. I was working in Ipswich town centre then, and the police would be patrolling and giving all the women alarms. It was really strange thinking back now.
So I know you've sort of nailed down the psychological thriller genre. What would you ever be tempted to write a series of books?
A series. You have to remember so much. I'm so in awe of, I know Rachel Lynch and Marion Todd, they're well into their series now. So actually, maybe as you get 10 books in, perhaps the characters are like yourself. You know them as well as you know yourself, maybe. But I just imagine having to flick back through the previous books and like, oh, okay, she's got brown hair, and I'm not sure how I'd keep it in order.
How do you manage to come up? Because you write quite a lot of books. How do you keep coming up with like fresh ideas and fresh character names? And if you're changing them every book,
One of my worst fears is that I will run out of ideas. I do fear that, and I joke with some author friends if they've someone should put up ideas for sale, and at least I know that's there if I really do run out of ideas. But I mean, it usually starts with a question, the idea for a book. Such as The Perfect Village. It was just looking at that legend and asking, where did these children come from? And then it's quite easy to create a world around that. Character names, yeah, that can be more difficult. Or you get a Sandy, a Mandy, names spelled differently. I keep track of them now as I'm writing anyway.
because Vivacia is quite an unusual name.
It is, and I swear this whole book and all the characters just came to me fully formed, and I don't think I'm ever going to have that again. I don't even know where I got that name from, because it's I've never heard of anyone with that name, but that was her name from as soon as the ideas sort of started to grow. That was her name.
It's amazing. Donna says, you were saying about the characters and not having to flick back and work out what colour their hair was if you're writing a series. She said, isn't that what editors are for?
Yeah, well, that is true. But I think, I shouldn't get things like that wrong. And actually, when I am writing a book now, I'll have a page with the character's name, hair color, eye color, age, just the essentials, so I can just glance at my page when I'm writing.
Because she's so good at capturing these like really fascinating stories. Has anyone ever been interested in them sort of from a media perspective?
How do you mean?
As in like adapting them for like radio, TV, like film?
Yes. At the moment, The Other Son, which is 3 novels ago, that's actually been optioned, I think, to turn it into a TV miniseries. So it was optioned about a year and a half ago, but because of all the Hollywood strikes, it's basically been on hold for about a year. So now things are gearing up again. When something is optioned, it can take an awful long time to sort of get it off the ground and get it moving. But yeah, it's still very much on the table, which is awesome. It's, great.
What would you, if it did get options? I'm going to ask you Sam's favourite question, which is, if it did get optioned, what character would you want to play?
Oh, it's
a good question.
It's a really good question, because when I write my books, I visualize them, but I've never visualized them as actors. So, I mean, the main character in that was a tough, strong, independent woman who's buried a lot of hurt. So maybe someone could come up with some suggestions.
Maybe it could be you. Maybe you could play her.
Do you reckon? That would be amazing. I mean, they are going to move that from England, where it was set in the book, to America. I don't think I could do an American accent, but there's plenty of fine actresses out there who could.
Are you all right with that, or?
Yes, it actually makes more sense, because the other son, if the viewers are not familiar with it's actually centered around a school shooting, which doesn't happen here, in England. But I needed it set in England because that's where I live. That's where the majority of my readers are. And it's actually a lot harder to adapt that scenario to it happening in England. Sadly, it's all too common in America. So for that particular novel, it would actually make sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Sam says, do you mind if the adaptation is true to your story?
I know that I would get to read the script and everything and see how it turns out. I don't know if I've ever watched an adaptation that it remains totally true to the book. And I think it's hard. I mean, if you think of something like Where the Crawdads Sing, it was a huge book that spans so long, you can't condense it true to the book into a movie, but it was still great. So yeah, we'll see.
I think it depends on who does the adaptation, doesn't it? Like,
Yeah.
I don't mind if the story's a bit different, if like they've got all the characters right, and it's sort of, because they're going to have to change things to make it filmable.
Exactly.
So
Yes.
if
Yeah.
there's like, it makes sense, and I'm like, yeah, I like this. I'm trying to think of something. I'm going to sound really nerdy now, but the thing that worked for me most recently, like that, was One Piece.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So the show was really good. The
Yeah.
comic was really different. Like the story, I went back and read the comic, and the stories are really different. But I was like, I like both.
Exactly.
And
It's
I see why they made the changes.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the same, as I understand it, with The Walking Dead, translated from the comics to the screens. So much was changed, but I don't think I've ever heard anyone say, "Oh, the television version was bad because of it," at all.
I've heard people who've said, when it's like really different, that they kind of still don't mind that it's different. Like it's fine for it to have gone in its own direction.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because I think things do change from the page to the screen, don't they? I think it'd be really hard for them not to.
When I first started doing the author chats, while we're on like graphic novels, one of my favourite questions to ask authors and I don't think I've ever interviewed you before, so I can ask this.
Oh, right.
Would you like to make a graphic novel adaptation of one of your books?
Oh, wow. That would be really something. And I know, I'm pretty sure, actually, I'm looking at my bookcases again. Sure, I've got a graphic novel of Anne Rice's vampire series. And yeah, I think, yeah, that would be pretty cool. That would be awesome.
Because I think, like, especially psychological ones probably work quite well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right there, definitely. Yeah, that would be maybe something to put on the wish list for one day.
Maybe Canelo can expand.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Because they're bringing that, aren't they expanding into horror? Would that be something you would be tempted to step into?
Oh, I
'Cause I feel like
love
psychological thriller to horror is a good
Yeah, I
not
love
that.
horror. I think it's got to be done, really well. I love watching horror and reading it, but I'm also really interested in dystopian as well. I love dystopian fiction.
I do. I like to read horror, but I don't like to watch it.
Oh, don't you? Oh, that's quite interesting.
So, I'm really scared when it comes to watching it, but reading it
I think that's why I like it, to sort of push yourself into, how far can I be pushed before I'm behind that cushion?
You see, I would be behind the cushion with most of them. But also Canelo, we make no we're not ashamed of saying this, like, as a UK as this sort of author chat team of UK Crime Book Club, we love Canelo.
Yes, yeah,
Like,
you're really supportive and it's lovely.
we're massive fans of them as a publisher because everything they put out is just quality.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
do you know what I mean? I can't think of it.
Lucky to be with them.
Yeah, there's not a crime book I've read that they've put out that I've not enjoyed. In fact, now if, like, I'm scanning the shelves for a new read and it's got
Oh,
this
yeah.
on, I'm like, "Well, that one's probably gonna be good," you know?
Yes.
So I feel like them bringing out they said they were gonna bring out horror, and I was like, "Yes," because I like reading that, and it's gonna be good.
Perfect. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, I can't wait. That's going to be really good. And I would love to try my hand at it one day. Definitely. I'd definitely be reading them, even if I'm not writing them, I'll read them.
'Cause I feel like things like it wouldn't be hard to dial up things like The Perfect Village into being
Yeah,
more
because
sexy, would it?
no, you're correct. I think it's got the level of spookiness already, the slight gothic element. So yeah, maybe that's what I'm edging towards.
And it's a big leap from the book before, because last time you were on, you were talking about the crew.
Yes, yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's a kind of an about turn, really, isn't it? Um, yeah, it really is quite different with from the land of super yachts to a spooky village.
Before, do you think this is a lockdown thing? So after lockdown, we seem to have got a spate of books about super yachts.
Yes.
So not that this is a bad thing. I've quite enjoyed quite a lot of the ones I've read. But I think before lockdown, I'd never even thought about what a super yacht was.
Yeah,
And
me neither.
while everyone was locked down and not being able to travel, they were just looking at all these lovely, luxurious things and then started. That's maybe why we've got a state of crime fiction set on them now.
Yes, exactly. Well, that's what happened to me. I wrote The Life She Wants during lockdown, which was set on a cruise ship. And I think because we were all just sitting here, not able to go any further than our back garden, all our wanderlust just came pouring out of us.
I mean, you've also got plenty of inspiration nearby. A massive port, Felixstowe,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yes, yeah, and I walk down there every day, every morning, and it is great. We've got container ships coming in and out every day, as well as the Harwich ferry, which is just across the water as well.
You ever tempted to sort of think about leaving a body in a container?
Oh,
Not in real life, but in a book, obviously.
I'm glad you clarified that.
I thought I should clarify it.
I often walk because I am next to the port. There's hundreds of containers, and I do often think there must be a body in one of them, surely. I remember the Brookside special. I really am showing my age now. And I think someone was put in a container. And ever since then, I've thought, oh, there must be some bodies in there, surely. Maybe you've just given me my next inspiration.
There you go, see, we're giving you your ideas for if
It's
you run out. Come
perfect.
back to us, we'll just give you some. Leslie said books seem to go through common themes. It was pointed out a lot of books are currently set in Alaska. She's just read 2.
Oh yeah. I think you're right, and I don't think it's a conscious decision. I mean, with the super yacht thing, personally, I think that all of us who have written about the yachting world and charters, I think that's because we were all watching Below Deck over lockdown, weren't we?
Donna says she's got no desire to go on a super yacht. The conditions of lockdown as they were, she was in heaven.
I mean, I enjoyed it, and wasn't the weather so lovely then? I mean, it started in March, and it was glorious all summer. We only needed our back gardens.
Well, I don't really have a back garden, so
Oh, yeah,
I
I'd have struggled without it.
I didn't object to it. Working from home is quite hard if you're a teacher.
Yeah, yeah, I do not envy you that at all. That must have been really hard.
It's really hard because I'm just not motivated. Like at home, do you know what I mean? Like I'm either really motivated and get so much done that I'm done in like 2 hours,
Yeah,
and I've done all of this, and it's amazing because like teachers, if they're motivated, can get so much done in like a crazy small amount of time that you would
yeah,
not believe. And or I was just like,
yeah,
it took me a whole day to do one thing that would like take 10 minutes at work.
yeah, exactly.
I was like, it's one or the other. It couldn't be like a happy medium where it was
No,
like,
no, one extreme to the other, definitely.
yeah, fluctuating throughout the entire thing. I'm not destined to work from home.
No, no, I think I was. It was good. But then I was classed as a key worker, so I did get to go in the office for a couple of days a week. So I think I was really lucky in getting, a really good deal out of the whole thing. I saw people, but just enough.
Yeah, I got to escape a bit, which was nice, but
Yeah.
it was rare.
Yes. Yeah. I can imagine.
Um, yeah, Sam has just said that I did not enjoy being, no, I was not good at being cooped. I don't mind being cooped up. Like I was happy like being in my house with the person I was with and
Mm.
like everything else. Do you know what I mean? Like I had good company. I just
Yes. Yeah. It's just such a strange time to look back upon now, isn't it? I can't believe it actually happened.
well, I mean, I kind of yeah. The kids at my school kind of thought I was weirdly mystic because I kind of knew it was coming,
Mm.
but that's just because I'm a bit of a nerd and was like reading all the stuff about it.
Oh,
It was like
really?
prediction, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So you got a head start on it all.
Yeah, I was like, "Oh, it's gonna be like a pandemic. It's gonna do this, but it'll be fine." And then the kids, like, when we got back, were like,
Oh, yeah. It was strange times, definitely.
but yeah. So you've told us a little bit about what you were working on now,
Yes.
about the 2 women. We're kind of similar. What else can you tell us about it?
Well, it's set in London. It's set in the art gallery world, which is, again, something really fun to research. I remember thinking I knew specifically the type of gallery I wanted to set this particular book in. So I went to London, I had lots on a list. I was intending to visit them all, and I walked into the first one, and I thought, this is it. And I never went to any others. So it's set in something very similar to Japan House in London, which is very clean, very streamlined. You'd have liked it. When I went to research it, they had a graphic novel installation on. So yeah, that it's set in London in an art gallery with 2 women and a few very characters.
Absolutely would have loved it. I love graphic novels.
Yeah, it was fun. It was kind of my introduction to it, and I thought, oh, it's really interesting. Actually, I love it when you find something that you didn't know you were going to enjoy.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting sort of statement, because that's one of the fun things about doing things like this. I would imagine being an author and getting advanced copies of books, you sort of sometimes just come upon a gem that you wouldn't have
Yes, yeah, exactly.
any other way.
Yes, yes, you're exactly right. That's you know, and if you're lucky enough to get something like that, or find something, or have to research something which turns out, you know, that you really enjoy, there's nothing better.
What's the because you're quite a few books in, so what's been like the thing that you've most enjoyed researching for any of the books?
I think Chernobyl and Exclusion Zone, way back in 2016, but just because it was and is so interesting. If I see an article now about it, I'll read it because it's really fascinating. The Life She Wants, it contained a lot of information about the Northern Lights and the night sky, moon phases. That was really interesting as well. I found that so interesting during lockdown that I bought a telescope with the aim of taking it out into my garden at night and seeing it for myself. But then I remembered that I don't really stay up late enough. I don't like the cold, and I couldn't calibrate the telescope, so I sent it back. But the research was really interesting.
All good reasons.
Yeah.
To do it. You're also likely to get a lot of light pollution if you live anywhere kind of
Yes,
quite
yeah, I learned that after I bought the telescope. You know, I'm in a town, and it's not like in the middle of the countryside when, I mean, the light pollution was crazy. You can't, it wouldn't have worked. It was a ridiculous idea. It was a waste of £300, but I got my money back.
See, I'd live with a nerd. I knew about the light pollution.
I should have checked with you first, shouldn't I?
It's useful, useless knowledge.
Yeah.
Would you want to go and see the Northern Lights?
I'd love to, but I mean, I know very, very rarely you can catch glimpses of them. I think very recently you could see them from somewhere in England, but it involves going to Scandinavian countries, and I'm just not good in the cold. So yeah, I'd love to see them, but I'd have to be wrapped up in several blankets and big hat, and just watch them from inside a little glass bubble, preferably heated.
This doesn't normally happen when you do anything live, but I'm going to apologise if you hear any noise in the background. Sounds like my Morrison's delivery has just arrived.
Oh, has it? Well,
I heard a big knock on my door.
I gave my dog like a Kong toy with some biscuits in, and he put one under the sideboard, so he's been scratching at it for about half an hour. I apologise if you all can hear that.
No, it's lovely. Here at the UK Crime Book Club, we love to meet people's pets.
Oh, good. I'll show him next time. He's given up now and gone upstairs.
We get to do our parents' days online now. So
Do
things
you?
from lockdown that I absolutely love. So like our parent evening things are all online, and we do them. You can work from home when you do them, and the kids are all at home. And I always say to them they get a bonus extra good review if I get to meet their pet
Oh, perfect.
as well. And like if you have a dog or a cat, and I get
Yeah,
to meet it when like I come to talk to your parents,
that's brilliant. I love that.
I'm very pro this. Like it's an excellent thing.
Oh, yeah, that's fabulous.
So give us the things you've read recently and really enjoyed.
Oh, right. I'm currently reading Anna O by, I think it's Matthew Blake, which I'm really enjoying. Before that, I read All the Sinners Bleed by S.A. Cosby. I've read recently Marion's, Rachel's, and Sheila's new books, which was a bonus gift. That was brilliant. Really enjoying Gillian McAllister. I think she's fabulous. Have you read Wrong Place, Wrong Time? Oh, I insist you put it to the top of your to be read pile. It's brilliant. And I'm pretty sure with that book, she's broken the boundaries for a lot of crime writers. She's really extended the boundaries. So yeah, that was excellent. And Strange Sally Diamond, I really enjoyed that as well.
That is on my to be read pile. Strange
Oh,
Diamond.
amazing. Really, really good.
Unfortunately, most of our reading is for author chats.
Oh, right.
So unless I book the authors in, quite often the random crime books I buy that I'm interested in stay there for a while.
That's the problem. There's so many books, so little time.
And I have a really big TBR pile.
I bet you do. Yeah, it's a problem, but it's a really nice problem to have.
Oh yeah, it's an excellent problem to have. It's really good. Oh, Leslie said Strange Sally is fab. It really is a read as soon as possible. Cancel author chats to read it.
Oh, I think I'd agree with her. It's brilliant. Really good.
I think that's mean. Or my other habit of doing this to get around it is that I just book in the author of the book I really want to read.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
And then
that's a really good
up the
idea.
TBR pile. That works for me quite well.
Definitely, yeah. Yeah, that's a good idea.
I have definitely done that a few times in the group.
Have you?
The people are gonna have to try and work out where I've done it now because I have done it a few times. Been like,
Yeah, everyone's gonna be
oh,
scrolling back through the chats.
yeah, so I just go and like message the author and be like, "Which one's come through?" She's now saying an interview with Liz Nugent would be great.
Oh, yes, yeah. Yeah, that book was I mean, I think Liz had written quite a few books, and then there's that one. It was just absolutely brilliant. Just a real unique set of characters. It was
Do you
fantastic.
think sometimes with authors, you know, like you said, you found going back to the Perfect Village, you found that one just flew
Mm.
from you. Do you think sometimes it may be like, even though I mean, all your books will be good, but do you think sometimes that's maybe like the sign of the really good book? Do you think something about, do you think you know, like you were, I've always wondered this, you know, when an artist gets like a number one hit single, or like,
Yeah.
do you think you know when you're writing it? Do you think you know when you're writing Strange Sally Diamond, or like that it's just flowing and you're thinking this is like the best book?
I mean, I think so, but then I'm usually proven wrong. I mean, The Life She Wants has been my most successful book. I think it's got over 6,000 reviews on Amazon. And I'm like,
Wow.
how did that even happen? But yeah, and then you get so into the book you're currently writing. I think, oh, this is my best book. And I do tend to think that about every book that I'm writing at the moment. It's really, and it's hard. And I do very firmly believe a book's success is word of mouth. And those ones that stick in your head, such as Strange Sally Diamond, and Wrong Place, Wrong Time. And if people repeat it enough, I think that's how it gets, well known and successful.
But it's also the books that have like a hook and make you think. So I think things
Yeah.
like The Perfect Village, they've got something like interesting about them. They're gonna
Yes.
draw you in, and they're the
Yeah.
ones that you're then gonna go away and talk to your friend about, like, you won't have heard of this, or like
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think the fact that it was based on that legend from my home county, I think that's a hook that a lot of people have mentioned who have bought it because of that.
So has the reception been good to it? Have you
Yeah,
got a lot of, like, good reviews?
yeah, I've been really, yeah, really pleased with it. It's come across, the finished product has come across how I intended it, which is always great. That's, what I wanted. And a lot of people in my area, have really enjoyed it. And the local bookshops, because of that local legend, have been really lovely in picking it up and stocking it as well.
Yeah, which is good. I mean, and that's another thing that helps, isn't it, I think, when you're doing anything,
Mhm.
um, is if it's sort of somewhere set locally, like bookshops can really push it.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, exactly, and that's my little hook to go in there with my book, and it's set in Suffolk, don't you know?
Well, have you got any author events planned this year? Are you going to any of the book festivals?
Well, I'll be at Harrogate, which is my favourite weekend of the year, and possibly one in Suffolk, I think in September, and possibly something at Colchester Waterstones as well, which is just over the border in Essex. So yeah, lots to look forward to, definitely.
Yeah, Colchester's a beautiful town. It's like a Roman.
Yeah, yeah, it's really nice, and their Waterstones is really friendly and welcoming as well. They've been lovely.
That's good to hear.
Mm.
We love Harrogate. You'll
Oh,
I'll be there.
excellent. I'll look you up. I'll find you in the tent.
You will. There's no excuse for me though. It's like an hour from where I live.
Is it? Oh, wow. I think the drive normally takes me about 6 hours, normally because I go wrong at least a couple of times. And I'm not a natural driver and I don't enjoy it, but I do it. I do it for Harrogate.
Not tempted to do. Mind you, you can't do a straight train, can you? Like,
No, I did get the train one year, and I did have to swap quite a few times, which is even more stressful than driving. So yeah, I'm getting to know the way now. As long as there's no traffic jams, which there always is, and you allow plenty of time, it's fine. Nothing will keep me away from Harrogate.
yeah, I don't think I could ever do a straight train from just Leeds to Ipswich and then put in going to Harrogate as well. Oh,
Mm, no.
bit of a nightmare. Um, Donna said she's seen Liz Nugent interviewed a fair few times and she can't believe the reception to the book.
Oh, wow. I mean, it's going back to that question that you said. I surely when she was writing it, she knew how brilliant it was. Or maybe she didn't, but yeah, it really, really is. You have to push that one straight up to your top of your pile.
Okay. When this finishes, I will show you the size of the book pile and you'll be like, maybe not.
Do you read physical books then, or Kindle, or a bit of both? Audio?
They're both, but I prefer physical books.
Do you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love my physical books I love looking at them. I sit here at my desk and, you know, I've got two here and I look at them. They're lovely. But my Kindle is my friend as well.
I mostly read when I'm commuting, so I don't really want to like take my
Mm.
device out to get soaking wet and
Oh no.
things. Not
Yeah.
that a book is that much better, but you know what I mean. You can dry out a book a lot easier.
Yes, yeah.
It's been a pleasure talking to you. We've got a few minutes left, so remind people, show off the book, give us another recap of what it's about, what they're going to go and buy.
Yes, yes. Go and treat yourself. This is The Perfect Village. It only came out this month. Little tagline on it: the most idyllic places hide the darkest secrets. And on the back, it's the perfect place to hide the truth. So yeah, go and treat yourself.
And really good prices on both the Kindle edition and the paperback at the moment.
Sorry, say that again.
I said, according to a popular bookstore that we won't name because they don't need any advertising, there's some good prices on both the ebook and the paperback at the moment.
Oh yes, yes, you're absolutely right. So go seek it out. And I think The Crew, I'm pretty sure that's on a 99p deal at the moment as well. So you can stock up your Kindle.
So if someone was new to your books, like they'd never read anything by you before, what would be the best book to start with?
Oh, it's like asking to choose between children. Oh no. I think, well, I personally think this one, because it was one of my absolute favorites to write. But we're also going to go with The Life She Wants because the public have really liked that one. If you want to be a little bit terrified, maybe The Other Sun. Depends if you have any triggers. I'm just going to name them all.
Let's name them all. So creepy, go for The Other Sun.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. If you like destination thrillers, I would certainly recommend The Crew or The Life She Wants.
Yeah, and I think there's definitely an appetite for those at the moment. And if you're just intrigued into local, interesting legends that you might not have heard before, then buy The Perfect Village.
This one, yeah.
And because they're published by Canelo, they're all going to be marvelous.
Oh yeah, that's lovely. But I agree, they do put out absolutely brilliant books. I'm so lucky to be a part of them.
And then thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it, and I can't believe this hour has gone so quickly. And now I'm going to have to get down on my hands and knees and find this biscuit that went under the sideboard. And you can unpack your shopping.
I think my husband might be on that job.
Oh,
there's a lot of thundering around downstairs that sounded like there was bags being moved in.
It's very good, and that's very wise of you to book it while you're otherwise engaged. I like your style.
It was actually meant to be coming anytime from 8:30.
Oh, really? Oh, they were early.
They were early. Look at that.
It doesn't happen often. But yeah, thank you again so much for having me. It's been really good fun, and thank you for all the questions and the people who watched as well.
You are very welcome. You're welcome back anytime.
Lovely. Thank you so much. I'll see you in Harrogate if I don't see you before.
You will.